Now for global business updates, Rotus Oddiri joins us. Good morning, Rotus.
Good morning, Doctor. Good morning, Rufai. Good to see you. Hope you're feeling much better. We begin with, Dr. Bati already touched on this. Not much to say here. In England, the Bank of England holding rates steady. However, the FTSE 100 did react positively to Andrew Bailey's, can you call it forward guidance? He did suggest that there could be rate cuts on the horizon, and the markets always like that. So FTSE 100, the rest of European markets, reacting pretty well. Christine Lagarde also in her prior language talking about possible rate cuts on the horizon. So that's that about that. We go to the IMF. Again, Dr. Bati touched on this as well. I do want to talk on particularly the social transfers. And Dr. Bati, what you were saying earlier about scaling up, social transfers. This is on the IMF, of course, Article 4 consultation that was just released yesterday. So my thing is, and we have, in fact, by the way, we're going to have Christian Ebeke, who is the IMF representative for Nigeria. He's going to be on the Global Business Report at 11. So one of the things I want to ask him is, listen, to scale those social transfers, are you saying expand them across the country or increase the amounts that you're transferring to people? Because the impact of that is blunted by high inflation, which eats into the value of the money that you are paying. And then if you want to increase the amount, there's also the money supply issue that we have. It's been said recently that purchasing of palliatives in bulk have driven up prices of commodities. So it's a balancing act for the fiscal side to not beat down what the monetary policy side has been trying to do by mopping up liquidity in the market, and then you now come out and you're increasing social transfers, you're buying palliatives, you're doing things that are now increasing money supply, and then inflation is now beating down the effort that you're trying to put in there. So it's a tough balancing act on that side. So we'll have more conversations with him on to that end. We had a conversation with the Group Chief Executive CEO of Airtel Africa. Sorry, before I get to Airtel Africa, Ariel, back to our conversation on Microsoft. So we reached out to them again, sent us an updated quote on what happened in Nigeria. So organizational workforce adjustments are necessary, regular part of managing our business. We'll continue to prioritize and invest in strategic growth areas for our future and in support of our customers and partners. And then this is what they initially said, but we wanted something more specific. So they said Microsoft has decided to close the Africa Development Center in Nigeria. And as a result, some of our employees based in Nigeria will be impacted. They did round off saying that we will continue to operate in Nigeria and we will remain committed to Nigeria's transformative objectives. And as such, we'll continue to invest in our business and key growth areas in that region. I've asked them again for a full footprint of operations in Nigeria. They said they will send that, so we'll give an update on that. They are still very much invested in Nigeria. It's, again, CapEx outlays for all these tech companies, layoffs across the globe. It's not just here. Yes, now to the Airtel interview. Airtel had a $770 million FX loss in Nigeria, but Mr. Olusegun Ogunsanya actually said that there's something in accounting called exceptional items, one-off items that can skew line items in your income statement and balance sheet and so on. He essentially said that the effective loss was $1 billion, and he also talked about energy and what energy costs mean to how they impact the business.
The headwinds. We suffered two major headwinds. One is currency changes in two countries, Nigeria and Malawi. Nigeria being very, very significant. The second one is energy price increase. Our business depends majorly on diesel, given the lack of grid connectivity in most of the countries where we operate. So anytime we have a big swing in energy price, then it affects our profitability. If I put the energy price swing one side, I'll focus only on foreign exchange. You've seen in declared results, in Nigeria alone, we suffered FX loss of about $700 million, close to $800 million, 770. That's only and that's the one we describe as exceptional. If you go to the one we describe as normal, there's another $300 billion that we didn't describe as exceptional. So meaning in Nigeria alone, the effect of the foreign currency swing is actually $1 billion.
Yeah, and this energy thing, it's something just has to be done on the power sector because you are seeing it. That's why we have all these CEOs come and tell us what's going on. Finally, Mr. Joe Ajero, someone who I've been just dying to interview and ask about this 615,000 naira. Shout out to Joe Ajero. He's really fighting for the people. He was on the Global Business Report yesterday. Here's an excerpt of our exchange.
And they say demand for wage. We're not going to revise this. And we are making trillions.
No, you're not answering the question, Mr. Ajero.
Which question are you asking?
Mr. Ajero, see, there's something in economics called factors of production.
Yeah, exactly.
Land, labor, and entrepreneurship.
Fine.
Right. Now, these things come at a cost. If a person who makes chin-chin or pure water or toothpaste,
Fine.
they are currently paying their employees about 30,000, 35,000, 50,000 naira, up to that amount.
Exactly.
In fact, it's even probably about 35, 40,000.
Exactly.
What I'm asking you now is that a pure water manufacturer that has 4 staff, that is paying the staff 40,000 naira per month.
Yes.
You go and tell the government you want 615,000.
Exactly.
How does that pure water manufacturer go from paying staff 40,000 naira to 600,000? Where did they make the revenue from to make it up?
Now you are cutting it short.
Okay.
That pure water worker that comes to work and pays 20,000 for transportation is now paying 60,000. How does he come to work?
You're flipping the question. You haven't answered me.
No. How does it? Because you are looking at it. Wait now. You are looking at it from just one side.
I'm looking at the employer.
Now the employer.
You're looking at the employee.
The employer at that moment.
Yes.
The employer.
How do you make more money?
That was selling pure water at 5 naira.
Okay.
Has started selling at 10 naira.
No.
No. Can we be open?
I'll be open. My final question to you: are you a socialist or a capitalist? That's my final question before we go.
I'm a welfarist.
You're a welfarist.
Thank you very much.
And that's our update for today. What an end to the week.
Okay, I mean, Aaron. I said Aaron. Rotus. I knew that was going to happen because you are asking a proper socialist to be capitalist in his thinking. What were you drinking?
I had to do what I could.
It's certain. You see, labor always makes the wrong argument. But for people like Mr. Joe Ajero, I think what you should remind them is Udoji Awards. Because we've seen this pan out. This was how they shouted in the 70s that there was so much money in Nigeria. And they pushed Yakubu Gowon then set up Udoji Awards. Let's regularize salaries and everything. And Yakubu Gowon did it. The problem was not money elsewhere. Then we even had money to pay. But guess what happened, Rotus? From about 5 to 10% inflation, we went to 41% inflation.
Skyrocketed.
Nigeria couldn't survive it. The 70s was ridden with a lot of inflation and the value of currency started to plummet. All of that came to an abrupt end in the early 80s. Then we started blaming Ghanaians for our problems. Then we packed them up on the border one day and said, Ghana must go, Ghana must go, Ghana must go. You say, but we know where the problem started from. You overheat the economy, so please, cool head should prevail. Not even in a time where we didn't have the money. So all this socialist, I can think socialists too, but all these socialist arguments don't hold water sometimes. 615,000, we are not, no, that's not it. Right. Maybe 100, maybe 150, at least we can curtail inflation, but not 615.
And I think I know why you called him Aaron, because it looked like a boxing match right there. So that was a sport. Thought it was a sports show. But very, very quickly, I'll just ask on the Microsoft, and it's the same question I asked you the last time we discussed this, which was, are they closing the Kenyan office as well?
So far, they said no. That they're not.
All right.
That's
so
the update.
for me, that speaks a lot because this ADC investment launch, $100 million, launched in 2019, was launched in 2 African countries. Nigeria and Kenya. If the Kenya office is still running, it will be interesting to understand why they would rather keep that office open. So far, that's exactly. Because they did say that the Kenyan office is jittery, but why is the Kenyan office still running and investment still ongoing while they're choosing to close the ADC in Nigeria? I think that's because we have to talk about these things. $100 million over 4 years is a big investment, especially even in terms of attracting our engineers, training them. I think it's something that we need to look a bit deeper as to why really are they exiting.
Okay, Microsoft Nigeria has not provided further details, but we must be reminded that it's a business, and there's something called business realignment. But as patriotic Nigerians, we're likely to say, oh, Microsoft scaling down its activities in Nigeria, is it the same as Sanofi leaving? Is it the same thing as GSK? So it's a legitimate concern. However, in that regard, I would like to point out that the presidency has also waded into the matter. Temitope Ajayi, Senior Special Assistant on Media and Publicity, I guess was responding to Mr. Peter Obi. Mr. Peter Obi had said, look, this raises concerns about the business environment in Nigeria. That was his major point, and that the government, the Tinubu administration, must look at the business environment and address fundamentals, points that many of us keep making. But the presidency has responded to say, well, Mr. Peter Obi is making an earthquake out of nothing. That what Microsoft has done is just business realignment, and that the staff, the Nigerian staff, are not even up to 30. And there is an exaggeration to say 200 jobs will be lost.
That's
and all
true.
of
More
that.
than 30.
Well, I'm
Well,
just
about
quoting,
the impact
I'm
where
quoting
he's
the
quoting him.
statement
Yes, exactly.
from the
Yeah,
presidency.
yeah.
However, the thing to say is that with all these clarifications offered by Microsoft, I think the matter should be left at that. It should not be a matter for the politicians. So we should not politicize it. That's my point.
Agreed.
In England, the MPC voted 7-2 yesterday to hold rates steady. Inflation in the UK is 3.2%. Interest rate is 5.25%, but they decided to hold the rate steady. However, Andrew Bailey made it clear that, look, they are not going to rush. They may increase, they may cut rates maybe in June, or they may not even do so until August, September. But the other side of it was Jeremy Hunt coming in and saying, look, they should be careful. They should be very clear that the data is correct before they take any decision. And this is the conflict that you often see between politicians and central banks when it is election season.
Thank you. Yeah.
Which was why Jerome Powell in the US had to make the point that we are doing our job.
Yes.
You don't disturb us. And Andrew Bailey said more or less the same thing yesterday.
Yeah.
But of course, the opposition would like something to happen
Yes.
so that it will be to their advantage.
Yeah.
But the thing is to separate politics from, central bank, which has autonomy.
Yeah.
The final thing that I wanted to point out is Argentina. There's big crisis there. Schools have shut down. People are on the streets. I know Javier Milei. He's your very good friend. You admire him. But his right-wing economics, it seems to be creating problems. Labor is on the streets. Sometimes some of these approaches could also result in social tension.
Indeed.
Thank you very much, Ruth.
Thank you.